My dad's main job here on the farm is to make sure that everything is in order, that these apples get picked here and these apples get picked here, and when they get picked, and making sure everything stays in a line, in order.
Most of the trees in this orchard are 12 years old, and then over to the north there we got some younger ones that we've been planting over the last couple of years. Well, naturally, years ago they used to plant them 30 by 30 or sometimes farther than that, but now with the dwarfing rootstocks we can plant them closer together. They're more efficient that way, and we get better production early. And they're easier to maintain, it's easier to harvest, it's easier to trim them.
There's definitely some science and there's definitely some math involved, and there's definitely some chemistry involved.
The rootstock is the bottom section, of course, the one that's in the ground with all the roots on, and then on top of that is where they bud the variety that you want. Dwarfing is the size of the trees. The roots aren't as big themselves, they don't cover the area, and the tree cannot support itself, so then you can start getting wires and trellises and stakes to hold it up. And then we're able to start growing an apple 2-3 years out after planting it, rather than waiting 5-10 years to get good yields on it.
My dad has to pay attention to what's going to happen, like if there's a good chance of rain, then he has to tailor his picking plans to that, so then he can kind of get the idea of when he's going to get done and make sure he gets done.
You kind of monitor, your leaves and the time of the season, and the traps will tell you what kind of moths are flying and when they're flying and how many are flying, and then you apply the spray based on that, so you're only spraying when you absolutely have to.
I think the hardest part of my dad's job would probably be making sure that all the apples get picked on certain days, because the rain, you don't know when weather is going to happen. It sometimes just happens and you can kind of guess it, but not the best.
Well, that's the hardest thing about farming. You really have no control about your weather. You live with it. The springtime, you have the frost, and the frost fan will blow the cold air off, and then the warmer air replaces it, and you can actually save your crop. Spring also is when the main scab season is, so then you monitor when you have rain, the temperature, when it does rain, how long the trees are actually wet, and that will tell you if you have an infection period or not.
My dad has to prune trees during the winter, which is another thing. During the spray season, my dad will work maybe from 7 to 10 at night. It can be pretty long.
Yeah, I don't think in general people are aware of agricultural. They're quite far removed. They go to the grocery store and get it 12 months out of the year, and we harvest it, 6 weeks out of the year. Yeah, I don't think people really are aware of what happens on a farm nowadays.
I really like it out here, and the thing that's really special about it is sometimes when I get to come up here, it's just a nice relaxing place to be. And you get to be out in the apple trees, and I like to ride my bike around here. It's really nice.
My name is Brian Bixby, and my father, Paul Bixby, is owner of Bixby Orchards. I've been the manager here at Bixby Orchards for 15 years, and I've worked on the farm my entire life, ever since I was a little kid.
My name is Jennifer Bixby, and I am Brian's wife. Basically, I help out wherever needed on the farm. I help pack apples, I can drive trucks, I can do whatever is basically needed of me on any particular day.
The farm been in the family since about 1945, when my grandfather bought it. And it's just been gone through the generations, and up to me, I'm the third generation.
This area in Southwest Michigan is really nice. We have a nice little microclimate that makes it very conducive for us to grow a lot of different things. We're shielded by the water on the west. Lake Michigan gives us great weather, a lot of snow, but also is just very good for our fruit trees and our crops.
You know, we raise probably 15 different varieties of apples on this farm. Michigan apples are a great thing. A lot of things have changed. The markets have changed, people's buying habits have changed. We cater to a lot of farm markets throughout Indiana, Illinois, and their buying patterns have changed over the years a lot. Their customers aren't buying as much, so they're in return not buying as much. A lot of the prices that we're getting today of receiving for the crops that we raise are still the same prices that they received back in the 70s and the 80s. And it's hard to do any growth because there's really no extra income coming in when our expenses seem to go up 10 to 15% every year.
I think we've maintained our market very well by keeping our business relatively on the small side. Brian and his dad primarily do all of the farming and make all the management decisions. We are well diversified. We grow several different entities, including apples. So we have something always different that's always in season throughout the year, and that does definitely keep us hopping, but it also gives us a good diversification on the farm.
We're adapting to the markets by providing it direct to the consumer. And by doing that, we can raise our prices up just a little bit and still provide good quality fruit for the consumer at lower prices than what they can get at the store. Technology is another thing that's changed quite a bit. And we're not as fast to bring on technology here on our farm as some other growers are because we don't feel the need. We do a pretty efficient job at what we do here. We're small, we're a family farm, and that's what makes us different from other farmers. We try to give it more of a personal touch rather than raising hundreds of acres of one crop. That's why we like to do the farm fresh feeling.
This farm is just a great place to raise kids. We're really happy having a huge playground for our kids. They have over 400 acres that they can climb trees and play on and ride their bikes through the orchards, and I just think it makes a really neat, interesting, always something going on, unusual place to raise a family.
That there's a lot of space to play baseball. Having all the area to go around, and we get to ride our bikes, and it's like a big adventure because you never know what's going to happen. And it's fun helping out because then you can learn new things every day and learn how to pack the apples or the peaches.
A farmer wears many hats. If something breaks, we have to put on a different hat and wear the mechanic's hat and fix it. If we have employee issues, we have to put on our HR hat and be the human resource manager and take care of that. We're our own broker, we're our own packer. Farmers wear many, many hats.
We all know that making your own food is better than buying the prepackaged stuff at the store. And the same goes with applesauce. Today we're going to show you just how easy it is to make your own applesauce. And a little later we're going to tell you about some ingredients you can use to personalize it. Here's what you're going to need for a basic applesauce. 4 medium-sized Michigan apples, 6 tablespoons of brown sugar, a teaspoon of cinnamon, and a 1/4 cup of water. The hardest part of this process is getting these apples prepared. If you want to save some time, you can pick up one of these devices for about 20 bucks. It cores, peels, skins, and even slices the apples, and it's a lot safer to use than a paring knife and a peeler. It's going to get a little messy. Peeling, slicing, and look how beautiful that turned out. Now we take our apples that we've peeled and cored and skinned and we chop them up. And it doesn't really matter how fine or how chunky you keep them. Really, of course, the smaller the chunks, the quicker it's going to be to cook up. But I kind of like my applesauce chunky. I'm just going to give them a rough chop. All right, I have my 4 big apples all caught up into 4 cups of chopped apples now. And now it's time to hit the stove. All right, we're gonna put these right in my pot. All in there. Really easy. All we're gonna do is combine all the elements we already have prepared. We have our 1/4 cup of water, our teaspoon of cinnamon, and finally our brown sugar. Give it a couple mixes. Let all those ingredients get happy in there. And then we'll put our stove on to medium heat. And not only will this taste amazing, your house will also smell really good during this process. All right, last thing to do is the easiest thing to do, and that's to walk away. But first, to cover it, make sure we're on medium, and let it get happy in there. Okay, by this time, the applesauce should be done. So turn off your heat, take off the lid, smell, take a big smell. It smells so good. And try it. That's perfect. You might think it needs a little bit more brown sugar, a little bit of cinnamon. I think mine's just perfect. Applesauce is a little bit like a pizza. Once you have the basic foundation down, there's no limit to the twists you can put on it. Now, traditionally, you would put a little bit of ground cinnamon on top. But have you ever thought about Dijon mustard with horseradish, or bacon bits, or candy sprinkles, or even dried cherries? Well, there you have it. Simple, delicious, and nutritious. Applesauce is a healthy snack anytime, anywhere, especially when it's made with Michigan apples.